What happens when a progressive professor goes to a conservative college to change the girls' mindsets there, but she discovers they are more open-minded than she is? The answer to this question is in today's movie. Our movie starts in 1953 with Katherine Watson riding the train and heading to Wellesley College to work in the art history department. The catch is that Katherine is from California, and she is a very progressive person heading to the most conservative college in the country. She specifically chose to work at this university to make a difference and change the girls there. Katherine arrives at the university, and we see everyone preparing for the new academic year. The student Betty knocks on the church door for the principal to announce the start of the new year. Katherine goes to check out her new room, but she rejects it because of the strict rules. No pets and no loud noises, even small stoves are banned, and of course no male visitors allowed. Katherine cannot live without men around. So she changes her housing and moves in with Nancy and Amanda. Nancy seems a bit eccentric the next day. Her first lecture begins, and the girls make fun of her because she is just a professor and has not become a doctor yet. Katherine notices a group of girls who are major suck-ups. They dim the lights before she even asks. They set up the projector for her. Then there are the highly intelligent girls who are boringly sophisticated. Like Joan and Betty, Katherine starts to get nervous because the girls explain everything, and she does not get a chance to say a single word, to the point that Betty embarrasses her, telling her, "If you do not plan on speaking, we might as well go home and study on our own." And indeed, all the girls leave the lecture and walk out. What adds to her tension even more is a colleague telling her that her being here is a fluke because the person who was supposed to be hired instead went somewhere else. Afterwards, she attends a meeting with the college president, and he asked her to take more control over her class because he saw her facing a huge embarrassment. Katherine returns home and gets to know her colleagues better, since Nancy is a chatterbox and talks about everything. While they are having dinner, Amanda warns her about the girls and asks her to hold her ground as much as she can. The next day, Katherine shows old paintings that are not in their curriculum, and of course the girls do not know anything about them because they do not think outside of their syllabus. They believe there are fixed standards in art, but she tries to broaden their horizons, and she starts laughing at them for their ignorance. After they were the ones laughing at her, after the day ends, we take a tour with the girls, and we find out that the conservative girls are not conservative at all. Smokers and lesbians, and they have no boundaries, but all of this stays away from the public eye. One of the girls, named Giselle, is the only one who liked Katherine, and she tells them a fictional story about Katherine, saying she fled New York after having an affair with a Hollywood actor named William Betty. Objects to Katherine and her lifestyle, seeing her as undesirable to men, and that this is the reason she is not married. Yet she does not realize a woman can actually choose not to marry. Betty discovers that Amanda, Katherine's colleague and the school nurse, is distributing contraceptives to the girls so they can use them with their boyfriends. So she reports what is happening in the school newspaper. The next day, Katherine is surprised by a strange competition at the college. The girls have a running race, and the winner is supposed to have a better chance at getting married. Katherine is naturally upset that all the girls care about marriage more than their own futures. Later, she meets Bill, the Italian professor, who shows them the news about Amanda and how she is giving out birth control to the students. Katherine is upset and worried for Amanda, but Nancy thinks Amanda needs to fix her behavior. And not only that, Nancy tells Katherine that Bill sleeps with his students. Betty meets her mother regarding her wedding because Betty's about to get married, and it is clear that she is reluctant. But her mother insists on the marriage, and of course, a conservative girl like her can never refuse. Her mother's request, Amanda is summoned for investigation by the college president, and she apologizes for what she did. But it is too late because the college board decided to fire her. Katherine returns home and finds Nancy giving the girls a lecture on wedding parties. She obviously hates the situation and decides to spend the night at a bar there. She meets Bill, who advises her to rent a room for the night because these wedding lectures never end. The only one who hates the lecture is Giselle, but Nancy scolds her, telling her this is the most important lecture because in a few years their only role will be supporting their husbands and children. We go back to Katherine with Bill. She talks to him about liberation and the girl's future. While all he wants is to sleep with her, at the end of the day, she goes back to say goodbye to Amanda before she leaves the next day. The student Joan meets Katherine and asks her about her low grade. Katherine reveals that she plagiarized her topic from a famous critic and tells her if I wanted to know his opinion, I would have read his book afterwards. Katherine asks her about her future, but Joan tells her that she is getting married. Katherine tells her she can get married and work. But Joan finds the idea strange at night. Betty wakes Joan up because her fiancé best friend Tommy is planning to propose to Joan. She is happy. They will be wives to best friends. The next day, Katherine hands Joan an application for Yale University because Joan wanted to study law. There, Joan starts to hesitate between marriage and studying law. Days later, the whole college attends the wedding of Betty and Spencer. Katherine attends the party and is surprised when Bill approaches her. He sits next to her and talks to her. Giselle is the only one who notices and decides to intervene to dance with Bill anyway. Now, the student Connie was dancing with Betty's cousin, but she leaves him and walks away because she thought he was doing her a favor since Betty told her so. But he clarified that the favor was for him and that he is really into her. Nancy ends up getting drunk and keeps talking to anyone about her ex-lover Lenny. Even though she said before that he was dead, she eventually tells Katherine that he actually did not die, but he got married and had kids instead. The next day, Katherine takes the students to an old and shabby art gallery to show them a piece of marble. Of course, the girls laugh and do not see this as art, but she asks them to be quiet and focus on the details naturally. This does not please the college president, and the next day she tells Katherine that they are traditional and they do not like her teaching style. She asks her to reconsider her approach before her annual evaluation. Joan and Tommy meet Betty and Spencer at their home. While Betty is showing her her cleaning supplies, Joan tells her she got accepted into Yale University. But Betty gets angry because Joan chose to continue her education, and she gets even more upset when she finds out Katherine was the one who helped her at the same time. Katherine is spending New Year's Eve alone, and she is feeling down until her boyfriend Paul shows up, who traveled a long distance just to spend the day with her. Giselle meets Bill since they are having an affair, but Bill decides to end it and tells her they cannot meet again. Yet she asks him to spend the day with her. The two go to the same bar where Katherine and Paul are hanging out. And of course, Bill is frustrated that she is engaged because he is attracted to her. Katherine goes back home with Paul, but she calls him by Bill's name, and he gets upset and decides to leave the next day at the university. Betty finally returns to class, and Katherine is frustrated because her marriage will interfere with her studies. But Betty asks her to respect their traditions, since marriage is more important to them. But Katherine threatens to fail her if she misses classes, and Betty tells her if she fails, there will be consequences. At night, Katherine is invited by Joan to a secret student club. She enters, drinks their beverage, and takes the induction oath. And of course, Betty is annoyed by her presence. Katherine starts telling them about her love life and the reasons she is not married until now. And when Giselle tells them Katherine got engaged on New Year's Eve, Katherine tells her she broke up on that same day Betty, then talks to her about Bill and tells her that she is having an affair with him, but Katherine denies it. Then Betty talks to her about Joan and the university she helped her get into, but Katherine tells her not to interfere in other people's business. Betty goes back to attacking Katherine in the school newspaper, accusing her of trying to ruin their marriages. This upsets Katherine very much, and the next day in class she is furious. She yells at the girls and tells them today they will listen to her without any discussion, and she starts tearing down their values, telling them an educated woman should not just be a servant in her husband's house afterwards. She talks about Betty's article, and she is visibly affected that she talked about her that way. Then she leaves the lecture and walks out, and many of the girls are moved by Katherine's words. Katherine goes to argue with the president about the university and asks her to change the girls' mindsets. But the president refuses. Katherine loses her temper and enters Bill's class, insults Wellesley College, and walks out. Bill tries to calm her down, but she gets even angrier, and he asks her to wait for him in his office. Bill meets Katherine in the office, and she is scared because of what she said to the president, feeling like she will be fired just like Amanda was. But Bill reassures her, and when he finds out she broke off her engagement, he runs after her and gives her a Christmas gift at night. They spend the day at the bar, and not just at the bar, but also at his house. Katherine is wary of Bill because of his affairs with students, but he promises her he will be with her alone the next day. Connie tells the girls about her boyfriend Betty's cousin, but Betty tells her he is using her. Connie does not care about what she says, but Betty tells her he is engaged to another girl. And when she mentions the girl's name, Connie recognizes her because he met her parents the previous day and was afraid they would see him with her. And when Connie learns the truth, she gets upset the next day. Nancy sees Bill with Katherine and does not say a single word. Literally, she does not say a single word until the end of the day. From shock at night, there is a dance party attended by students and teachers from different universities. Connie sees Charlie, her boyfriend, with his fiancée, and when he sees her, he goes after her to talk to her, and when she asks him about his fiancée, he tells her he was engaged a year ago, but they broke up, and when she distanced herself from him, he got involved with a new girl. Connie then realizes she was deceived by Betty and that she lost Charlie because of her own actions. Even Betty cannot face her. After what she did, Katherine dances with Tom and finds out he refuses to let Joan join the university. And of course, Katherine is very upset, Betty is very distressed, and that is because Spencer is always away from her for work. And when she tries to go back to her home to spend the day there, her mother asks her to go to her husband's house after a while. We see Katherine visiting Joan, and she tells her happy news, which is that she found other universities near Tom's university so she can attend university and be married at the same time. But she is surprised to find out she is too late because Joan and Tom have already gotten married, and Joan tells her she wants to start a family and chose marriage over education at night. Giselle is with a new person, but she sees Spencer by chance with another girl, and she does not know how to handle it or whether to tell Betty. As for Connie, she decides to fix her relationship with Charlie. She goes to his university dorm and asks him to come back to her, and he agrees. The next morning, Betty accuses Giselle of promiscuity because she is with many men. But despite this, Giselle hugs her and comforts her because she knows about the pressure she is under because of Spencer. Katherine goes to meet Bill, but she is surprised by his naked friend. Katherine finds out he is Bill's friend from the army, and when she talks to him about their days in Italy, he tells her they never served in Italy, and she realizes Bill deceived her and that he was never a combat soldier and was serving in a language institute in Long Island. Bill later apologizes and asks her for a second chance, but she naturally refuses. Betty finds out that Spencer is cheating on her, and when she tells her mother, she asks her not to tell anyone and to try to fix her relationship with Spencer, but Betty refuses and asks for a divorce. The college president decides to continue with Katherine for the new year, but with specific conditions, most importantly, that she sticks to the curriculum. Katherine returns home late and is surprised that Nancy had prepared a celebration she missed, but she asks her to get ready and go out to the streets to celebrate. But of course, Nancy refuses. And on the last school day, Katherine notices the impact she had on the girls, and they all thank her for changing them. And at the graduation ceremony, Betty asks Katherine to help her find a new apartment because she's separated from Spencer and decided to live an independent life. And finally, Betty decides to write the last article in the newspaper about Katherine. But this time, she described her as exceptional. Katherine says goodbye to the university, and all the students follow her to see her off. And here we have reached the end of our feminist movie.